Sean Fox here at the Lions and at Ouachita High School as we talk to Benjy Lewis on expectations for his Lions in year number 2. All right, here at Ouachita High School, joined by second-year head football coach Benjy Lewis. And Coach, before we talk about year number 2, let's talk about year number 1. Biggest lesson you learned as your first year as a head football coach?
Yeah, absolutely. To plan for those things that you don't necessarily account for. You know, we felt really good coming in, had a third-year starter in Zach Jackson that was coming back at quarterback, a ton of experience. And getting ready for Neville week 2, right out here on this field in a walkthrough, he falls down in the end zone and, you know, we come to find out has ACL tear. So we had to scramble there. We ended up the end of the year, the last 5 or 6 games with a freshman who did a great job for us. But I think when you ask me, you know, what I learned would be to plan for those moments like that, those crisis moments, and have a plan in place and have worked that plan.
Most coaches, when they're a head coach, they've been other places along the way. That's kind of common. Who are some coaches you've learned from, some of your mentors along the way before getting to Ouachita?
My first 3 years was at Gina High School, and I learned a ton from Coach Mac Fowler, a guy who had over 100 wins and a lot of things. Obviously, my time at Neville High School, Mickey McCarty was a tremendous resource. To me, the gold standard of what a coach should be. While there, you know, I formed a tremendous bond with Coach Sonny Smith and got the kind of the insight and the reflection on how they did things at Neville at that time, which was completely different from how we did it. I've been able to talk to Coach Mike Valerie a lot about the championship years here. So those guys, as well as just friends, Jay Roark comes to mind, a guy that we
Great job at Gina.
Yeah, we bounce ideas off each other a lot. So those guys are guys that I got a lot from and continue to get a lot from.
You know, last year you mentioned you beat Rummel, and look, a lot of people outside this building kind of found it as an upset, myself included. I was like, oh, Benjy might be onto something. But as you mentioned, not just your starting quarterback, injuries really took a toll on this football team throughout the season. And there's probably a lot of guys that you weren't expecting to make an impact, having to make an impact. It may have hurt you with that youth last year. How does that help you this year with those guys getting experience?
I'll tell you, it's a tremendous boost. I was just up there kind of getting our starting lineups together to give to our media and people like that. It's a list full of you know, juniors, you know, that were sophomores last year that played. And we weren't scared to play them last year because they were our most talented, you know, guys at those positions. But there was that doubt of youth and what they had seen, and we were facing some tremendous teams both in district and outside of district. But when you look now, the promise that it gives you is those guys are all battle tested. They've come back now with resolve and as leaders.
One of the traditions I love that started at Ouachita a few years ago was players giving coaches on game day their jerseys with their number on it. Tell me the significance of that and why that got started.
Yeah, you know, it's not necessarily just coaching. There were several things that we wanted to do to develop and instill some pride here at Ouachita. One of those things was for our guys to be able to give back. Every day on game day, senior class, they will sign up for those teachers, administrators, librarians, whatever that may be, and they're going to go take a picture with them. What we found, the pictures, you see the teachers and the cafeteria workers and the maintenance people, they're smiling from ear to ear. It means so much to them. We're giving them a bit of the ownership and the overall effectiveness of our program.
Great seasons don't start in September. It's the hard work in the spring and the hot Louisiana summers. What'd you see from your team this offseason?
Tremendous buy-in. I'm not a coach that makes excuses for what last year was. We were 3-8, and it stings to say it, and it stings for our kids to hear it, but we own that. That's part of our story. Because that's part of our story, it makes it that much sweeter when you see the guys come back, you know, not just in January when we started back, but in November when we started our off-season work, that those guys had immediate buy-in to realize we've got to change this. It's on us to change this. If they're bought into what we're doing here, they're excited about what's to come here, and we are too.
Well, let's talk about the season real quick. Not only do you have arguably one of the toughest districts in the entire state of Louisiana, your non-district games. I love the regional matchups, the local matchups with Waspin and Sterlington this year.
I wanted those regional matchups for our kids. They know players at every one of these schools that we're about to play.
You know, year one is building the foundation. What's going to take that next step as a program in year number 2?
Being able to navigate both success and failure. Any successful team is able to handle their level of success. If we go on a 4-game winning streak, we've got to be able to know that the next game we've got to remain that focused. And also when adversity happens, we've got to be able to deal with that and handle that and process that in the right way. We have to be able to ride the highs and the lows the same. And, you know, not think of ourselves too much. Pat Collins, my old coach, used to say that.
Yeah.
hey, you're never as high as you think you are, and you're never as low as they say you are. And I think that still holds true from 1997, and I think if we do that, the talent that's here, we should be okay.
Benjy Lewis, the head lion. Appreciate the time. Best of luck in 2024. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to catch me every day on the radio on Sports Talk 97.7 from 3 to 6. And don't forget to follow the North Delta Ramble on Facebook and Instagram.